The thing about crash outs is that like being a crash out is a luxury because a crash out don't have anything to lose. Like, think about it. You may be in a certain point in your life to where you've done well professionally, personally, wherever the case may be, and you value a lot of things. Crashing out as a reaction to disrespect doesn't even come to your mind because the things that you hold value in just mean so much. However, crash outs, they don't have anything to lose. They don't value their position in life. They don't value family. They don't value free time. And so that's why I say it's a luxury. I know it's kind of like an oxymoron, but literally being a crash out is a luxury because you don't have anything to lose. People with things to lose, crashing out about anything doesn't even cross their mind because it's like, okay, well, now I have to think about if I do this, what's the reaction to that? Do I lose my freedom? Do I lose my family? Do I lose my job? Do I lose all the progress I made in my life? Like, is this worth it? And the majority of times it's not. So crashing out is a luxury. And in that point, Franklin Saint was a crash out because he lost everything. He was beefing with his family. He held value in just his family dynamic for the first 5.5 seasons of the series. He lost the only family he had. You know, he had his mom, but his aunt and his uncle was also his family. He lost them. His best friend was going to Africa. He also valued money. Like I said, he was up $73 million. He got robbed. His accounts got robbed clean of all that money. The excess money he had left over, he got robbed of all that. He literally had nothing. So yes, he then became a crash out because he had nothing to lose. It was a luxury. However, the seasons prior to that, we wouldn't have seen the actions that we seen in season 6 had he had all those things with him. Had he had a standing relationship with his family. Had he had a bank account with $73 million in an offshore account. Had he had the excess money in his stash house, he would have weighed out all those things before he made some of the actions that he made in season 6 had he had those things. Like, remember him as the guy who robbed his uncle and his aunt. Remember him as a guy who offed Teddy's father and all the other things that Franklin Saint did, but we won't remember all the things that he was doing prior to that. We won't remember Franklin Saint bettering the life of his family and friends. And granted, slinging dope is not the most noble thing to do or to be, but he bettered the lives of the people around him. And even in his exit, he tried to bring them people with him, and it was met with resistance. So we won't remember all those actions, but we remember his responses to that. And so in closing, all I want to say is that, like, don't let nobody knock you off your pivot. I feel like I said this before, but I want to reiterate it. Don't let anyone knock you off your pivot. And some of you may not be basketball fans, so let me break this down for you. So in basketball, we know that you can only move with the ball as you are dribbling it. The moment you pick up the basketball, you cannot move while holding possession of that basketball unless you are using your pivot foot. So obviously we all have 2 feet. 1 foot is used to navigate and 1 foot is your pivot foot. That pivot foot is the foot that is anchored to the ground no matter what. If you move that pivot foot and you still have possession of that basketball once you return to the floor, it is called a travel. It is a violation. And so what I mean by pivot and not letting no one knock you off your pivot is don't let nobody move that foot. Stay grounded. Remember the things that you hold true to yourself. Remember the things that define you as a person. Remember the things that is guiding you in life. Don't let nobody knock you off that.